Ampere, we know the benefit of participation in communities. And if you take that a step farther, it's participation in communities that are driving source and cloud solutions, but it's also participation in work groups or consortiums.
The CPU is great if it's extremely efficient, but if it does not have the building blocks surrounding it, whether it be software, whether it be platform, the I/O devices that are required around it, we won't be successful. So the one thing that is awesome about Ampere is that we acknowledge that.
And the upside right now is so many pieces of the server ecosystem are open source components. And I think in the last 20 years, there definitely hasn't been a time where you've just got this many pieces of like what everybody's using that are open source components.
We are working with the open source community, so we are involved quite a bit over there. We have the necessary building blocks, the APIs, the libraries that are required. We are doing a lot of the benchmarking testing that is required by cloud customers. We are focused on everything, right, from when it comes to software.
Well, for us in particular, being an ARM hardware, it makes it really huge to engage the community.
My experience with our partners and the feeling that I get and the feedback that I get is like, wow, no one's ever come to us as a partner before. No one's ever come to us and asked, how can we work together so that we both come out ahead?
To some extent, I think those relationships are built upon a recognition of abilities on both sides, respecting those, and actually jointly working in a transparent fashion to where you bring those together. But at the end of it is both sides should feel that we've built something together that uniquely addresses a problem. And I actually do strongly believe that it's a unique capability that we have, is that within Ampere, we have the unique expertise of just knowing how the software ecosystem has evolved, what are the key pain points, and that knowledge of just how every layer of software operates, all the way down to the silicon and beyond that.
And the other thing that's important in there is building tools that are good enough to be able to do that taking apart. Because you can't look at some big application and figure out what it's doing kind of at any one of those levels. You have to really have tools that go across the different levels.
And some of the things that we do is, one, if you look at something like operating system support, it's really important to me that anytime a Linux operating system is released, that we make sure that we retain performance on it. And so we have developed a pretty nifty state-of-the-art regression suite internally. So anytime there's a Linux kernel change, anytime CentOS, Red Hat, Ubuntu, Debian, Oracle Linux changes or has any updates to their distributions, we bring that distribution in-house, we run it through a series of tests, and then we do some pretty complicated analysis on it to make sure that if we are seeing any kind of performance and regressions, we can find out where they're at, and do we go back and we work with the communities and develop code to actually fix the regressions, or is it something that a configuration thing happened, maybe something just broke in the community and then it gets fixed in the next version.
Right, we're talking tens of millions of code changes per year on top of billions of lines of code. We're talking things from PHP, which runs WordPress and a number of other applications, to Node.js, JavaScript and Python, and all the way down to C code, right? For many places and many libraries. And so how do you get an ecosystem of tens of thousands of people making tens of millions of changes to sort of use your hardware well? So we've been tackling this problem of sort of performance analysis over time, and monitoring the ecosystem to try and help different software developers connect with the hardware better.
There's a level of exuberance that I find you see come out of individuals who get to make that transition, right? From going from doing computing on a Raspberry Pi to seeing it blaze on an Ampere server is exciting.
The hardware architecture fits into a niche that no one is filling. And the people that I'm looking at who are running Java applications or Java services or Java microservices. They can use the kinds of machines that we're building, and that's the opportunity.
They are also kind of looking out for people to help them, so they're excited to have somebody come along that actually wants to help.
Some colleges and universities adopt open source technology. The OSU, for example, they seed and help different projects. We've donated 12 pieces of equipment, which they've used to stand up an OpenStack cloud. The first time we finally had all the systems powered on, and when we looked at the PDUs and the electrical readings coming off the PDUs, they were using less, the 12 Ampere servers were using less power than the 3 top-of-rack switches. He was so amazed, he had to go find someone else to show them because he didn't believe what he was looking at. And he explained this to me while I was talking to him on the phone after the fact. And that's, to me, that's the excitement that, and the reality of what we're delivering. But his reaction is the same reaction I had the first time I got OpenStack running on it.
Ampere is part of an ecosystem, and that ecosystem is composed of all of Ampere's partners and all of Ampere's customers. And for Ampere to succeed, we have to take care of those people. We have to care about the code and the hardware that we put out and ship out of our doors, and that comes from partnerships.
Act like Johnny Appleseed at some aspect and help enable not just our product, but the entire ecosystem. The opportunity is there, the exuberance from the community is there. It's a good mantra to have.
Sometimes we get wrapped up in the day-to-day on, this problem we're trying to solve or this is what we're trying to do. But when you step back and you look at it from a holistic point of view and say, you know what, in a year from now, we're actually going to have software that is highly performant, highly optimized, highly tuned, running on the best hardware in the entire world for the cloud and data center infrastructures. That to me is one of the most exciting things that's going to happen this year.